All right, we'll begin with public communications. Ernest Albanese. Sir? Afterwards? Okay. Mr. Clapsaddle? Excuse me? You pass. Okay. Mary Ellen, oh, that's you, Ms. Flores. I'm sorry? This is when we do it. You pass as well. Okay. We'll move into the consent agenda. We have 4 pullouts on page 15. Commissioner Morales, $468.13. Need a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
One abstention.
Motion carries. Goliad Auto Parts, $2,282.73. Motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain.
Motion carries. Highway Garage, $608. Motion to approve, please.
So move.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
One abstention.
Motion carries. Commissioner Edwards, $36. Motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
I
carries.
abstain.
The remainder of the consent agenda, comments, questions? Otherwise, I need a motion to approve.
So moved, Judge.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Item number 3 is the National 4-H Week proclamation. Whereas the Commissioners Court of Goliad County is proud to honor the 4-H Youth Development Program of the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service for 115 years of providing experience-based education to youngsters throughout the Lone Star State. And whereas this admirable program, which seeks to provide a learning experience for the whole child, including head, heart, hands, and health, helps young Texans to acquire knowledge, develop life skills, and form attitudes to enable them to become self-directed, productive, and contributing members of society. And whereas it's more than 550,000 urban, suburban, and rural youth participants ranging in age from 8 to 19. They hail from diverse ethnic and socioeconomic backgrounds and truly represent a cross-section of the state. And the program undoubtedly could not have achieved the success that it has today were it not for the service of its more than 22,000 volunteers who have given generously of their time, talents, energies, and resources to the youth of Texas. And throughout its proud history, the 4-H program has developed positive role models for countless Texans, and through its innovative and inspiring programs, continues to build character, to instill the values that have made our state strong and great. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Commissioners Court of Goliad County hereby designated October 2nd through 8th, 2022 as National 4-H Week in Texas, and commend the 4-H Youth Development Program at the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service and the many men and women who have made the program a success. You guys make us proud, and we're honored to have you here. And y'all have a spokesman by any chance that would like to say something? Right there.
We're excited to announce our plans for celebrating National 4-H Week, which will be held October 2nd through the 8th. This year's national theme is Opportunity for All. And throughout the events we do, we hope to encourage, celebrate, and create opportunities that will enhance all young people in the 254 counties in Texas. And our projects for One Day 4-H will be cleaning up the petting zoo and the surrounding areas of our fairgrounds.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You guys.
Okay.
Item number 4 is approving the Goliad County holiday schedule for 2023. I believe everyone got one in their packet.
Yep.
Lonzo, you want to start your comments?
It's the same number. It's the same number of days as last year, is that right?
I believe it is.
It's good with me.
Mr. Edwards?
I'm good with it.
I'm good with it.
Yes, sir. We're good.
Need a motion to approve that, please.
So move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approve the resolution regarding Texas, Feeding Texas grant. And I don't see it, live TV.
Here you go.
All right, this is a resolution authorizing the county grant program year-end 2023. A resolution of the Goliad County, Texas, from Goliad County, Texas, certifying that the county has made a grant to Goliad County Senior Citizen Center organization, an organization that provides home-delivered meals to homebound persons in the county who are elderly and have a disability, and certifying that the county has approved the organization's accounting system and fiscal agent. I won't read the rest of it. So if I could get a motion to approve this,
What's the amount of the grant, sir?
12,000, I believe, and
thought.
it's in the budget. We approve the budget, so this is a formality, really. Need a motion to approve it, please?
I'll make that motion.
Need a second, please?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6 is approve the immediate funding request for the state government mandated services resolution. As everyone is, thanks for coming.
Thank you all very much. Thank you for your work.
As I'm sure everyone in the county is very aware, the state passes down a lot of unfunded mandates where they say you have to do this, but we're not going to help pay for it. And that's, we have to band together as counties to start putting the pressure on the legislature to stop telling us that we have to do things without giving us the funds to make them happen. So this came through from Mr. Allison, I believe, and I believe that this resolution is going to be before all 254 counties to say, if you're going to cause us to have to do these things, you need to provide the funding because we're already short. So you have copies of the immediate funding request for mandated services. It's very straightforward. And
Isn't this the one for three different items? The Texas jail, the state jails, the state juvenile, and what was the third one?
State hospital.
state hospital.
State hospitals, the mental hospitals, correct. because they've closed them down, they have all that extra money. The state already has the money in their budget. They're gonna move it down to the states, is what I understood it to be.
Right.
Okay, just for those three, for our jails, basically for the jail system.
Right. So there's a number of unfunded mandates, and we just need to petition the legislators to send money with the mandates.
Correct.
That's basically what this is. So I'd like to get a motion to approve this, and we can send it up there, and hopefully it will make a difference.
Motion to approve, Judge.
Need a second, please?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Lockwood, approval to renew the EMS insurance policy. I'm not clear what kind of insurance policy it is. And I meant to call you, and it didn't happen.
I didn't know I was supposed to speak. I don't know either. I know this came up last year when this policy came up for renewal, and I know that Rusty looked into it, and I thought the two of you had a discussion. It's something that they've had for years, and honestly, I don't know exactly what all it covers. It's in addition to what our general liability. I think it just maybe takes it a step further. But I do know that it's a policy that the county has had for several years, and when it came up last year, we decided to go with it again, but I wasn't in on that.
So this is the one time Creech didn't show up when we
Yeah.
needed him, huh?
Yeah,
I think we probably need to table this, because I honestly don't know what it's for.
okay. Like I said, I wasn't in the discussion last year, but I know that it came up last year, so,
Yeah, I tried reading it. It's about 50 pages long, and
Yeah.
it's written in legalese, and I was I was concerned about some of the things that they were covering or not covering.
right. And like I said, I think it's just a supplement to our general liability for the EMS because they're a different beast,
Correct.
you know, so, but I do, like I said, I do know we brought this up last year, and I honestly
Okay.
don't know what we found out. I wasn't in the conversation, so.
All right. I'd like to make a motion that we table this until our next meeting. Can I get a second, please?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 8 is to rescind the requirement for individual departments to get CC Commissioners Court approval on line item transfers within their own department budget. This is something that we put in that isn't required by law, and it seems to eat
Oh,
up a
yes,
good
sir.
bit of our
I'll do it.
Commissioners Court time. Do you have any thoughts on that? Start with you, Alonzo.
It'd be fine with me to rescind it. I mean, the money's already budgeted in the total budget, and we can transfer it on our own between lines.
Does anyone have a different opinion than that they'd like to express? Otherwise, can you put that in the form of a motion, please?
I'll motion to rescind those Commissioners Court approval on line item transfers within their own department budget.
Can I get a second on that?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9 is approve the contract between Goliad County and Goliad County Groundwater District for Goliad County Elections Administrator to conduct the election. This is the same contract we have with the city, with the exception of the names. Groundwater has requested that we conduct their elections for them. Ms. Smith, are you still here? Do you have anything you'd like to say about this? Your groundwater's good with the contract? Need a motion to approve this, please?
So move.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approve the Sheriff's Office vehicle bid. Sheriff, do you have anything to say on this?
From what I understand, we received 2 bids, is that correct? Okay, so we received 2 bids. What we'd like to do is receive authorization to sit down with the auditor, take a look at those bids, and ensure that both of them are in compliance, and go with whichever one is beneficial and in compliance for us with the bid specs. The funding out of this comes out of the Sheriff's Office Abandoned Vehicle Fund, so it is not something that is out of the general fund budget. So, but we will sit down with the auditor once you provide us with approval, and we will sit down and go through that process and ensure that we are in compliance with the Texas Local Government Code and get the vehicle that we can get, if we can get one of them. Both bids have to be in compliance. I have not reviewed them, so I don't know.
Bernie said they had one on, but they gave an extra 10,000 governmental deduction.
Well,
Otherwise, their price was the same as Aztec here, but then they gave another 10,000.
well, we'll sit down and take a look at that, because that would be nice. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it brought it down. But I wonder why Aztec, they're supposed to be on the buyer's board, I would think.
Well, they're not currently on the buy board because they have not been able to get into that. They had started the process, thought they were in it, but they are not in the buy board.
And that might be what that is.
And so maybe that's it. So,
Any other questions for the sheriff? If not, I need a motion to approve, please.
What are we approving, Judge, to go with the lowest bid or go with the approval of the auditor?
well, the lowest bid won't always be, it has to meet the bid specs. So be the lowest bid that meets the bid specs if we're going to go that way. So,
I looked at it kind of in the same truck, and they offered the same colors for both bids.
They were equal in price until the governmental,
yeah, but there's some things in the bid that they have to meet, and we have to make sure that they meet them. It says immediate delivery. If I call somebody, say I call Aztec, and they say it's going to take 30 days to get a truck, then they can't be the one. Even if they say they can get it to me in a week, it has to be for immediate delivery. So we've got to sit down and look at that and ensure, because if not, we're in violation of Texas Local Government Code. And to be quite honest with you, I'd rather scrap the whole thing and start over again and figure something else out than be in violation. So I just want to ensure we're in compliance. That's all I'm looking for.
One of the bids said they had the truck in stock and could get it delivered if the bid is approved within 5 days.
So that's something we're going to have to look at, because 5 days is not immediate delivery. But that's a question that I guess we'll have to sit down and have with the auditor and possibly the county attorney, interim county attorney.
So how do you want to approve it, Judge? Do you want to give the authority to the auditor? You got 2 bids here.
We got 2 bids, and low bid that meets the qualifications is the way I would see it. Is that correct?
Yes, if it does.
Within the delivery date and.
It just has to have whatever, it has to be spec'd out just as it is in the bid sheet, so whatever that's going to be. So if I remember right, it was immediate delivery, is that correct? What we would call, so if somebody had the truck and they were able and they're the lowest, then that's where we're going to go get it from.
Can we table this and put it on another agenda to
The
give y'all time to look at it?
No, because the problem is, once the bids are here, we can't put the genie back in the bottle. I can't call Aztec and say, do you have this truck? Or I can't call Bernie and say, do you have this truck? Because at that point, I'm in violation of Texas Local Government Code of communicating that with them.
gotcha.
So we can't go through that process of communicating once we start the process. Once it's finalized and approved, then we have to follow whatever the bid specs are. And we have to sit down and ensure compliance and look at every single spec on each one of those vehicles and ensure that it matches what the auditor has put forth. If not, we have to start over from scratch.
Leah, did you look at these bids or not?
So the chief probably has them, because I have not sat down and looked at them yet. Because it's one of those things that, to be quite honest with you, I don't want to sit down and mess with until we have approval and we sit down with the auditor.
Well, how
Because-
about we make a motion to allow the purchase of a vehicle with the approval of the sheriff and auditor?
If that's how, the court wishes to do it. But it also, in that, it needs to specify, just for us on a legal side, that the bid that meets the specs as put forth by the auditor.
How are we going to know that?
She has all those specs. We
I
will
mean,
have to sit down with
how
her.
are we as commissioners gonna know that? After y'all go through the bids?
Well, it'll be an open book. You'll be able to look at it. Nothing is secret on it.
I didn't say that, but I mean,
Would you like to be part of that process?
but we need,
It wouldn't hurt for
Yeah, if you want,
somebody from the court to sit in on the deal.
yeah, when we go sit down and do that, you're more than welcome to come.
but we all have to approve, we have to give some kind of approval to the auditor tonight. Is that correct?
Right, but we know what it looks like in the approval form.
Right.
So as long as it meets that criteria, I would say we're good to go.
I'll be glad to sit in there with them. It don't bother me none.
We appreciate it.
So I need
All
a,
right, so we're going to make the motion then. We need to make the motion.
Go ahead.
I make the motion that the auditor, the sheriff, and one commissioner's court commissioner sit in and look at the bid specs, make sure the bid specs are correct and they meet all the requirements of the bid, and then go from there.
Need a second,
To
please?
be able to purchase the vehicle.
need a second, please.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Sheriff. Well, I guess we'll test out our new motion we just passed to line item transfer to office supplies to purchase laptop and portable printer for new software in the treasurer's office. But we just decided we don't have to do that anymore. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So we'll take no action on it.
No action, good.
Commissioner Edwards, discussion action regarding payment to H&C Paving Company for work to be done in October.
Yes, sir. This has come up a couple years in a row now, and it's been a kind of confusing starting the next year with bills that were planned to be paid in this year's, but due to weather and unforeseen things, they can't get here till next year. So all I'd like to do is to, in the interest of transparency, to make a motion that the paving that was planned for this year comes out of this year's budget, not next year's. And there's money in there for it. I've got enough in my current budget to cover it. So I don't know if we need to make a motion on that.
I have a question about that then. So this year's budget, which ends the last day of this month of September, was $1.24 a square foot. And H&C got the bid for next year at $1.95 or whatever it was. So are you going to pay $1.95?
$1.24. He's getting it at this current year's pricing. The issue is that they can't get here before the
Okay.
budget year ends. So he's asking permission to pay it now at the lower price.
Okay, and H&C is willing to do
Get the
that.
benefit of it when it comes. Is that correct?
And H&C is willing to do that.
Sorry, what?
H&C is willing to do that?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
You put
I
that,
make the motion then.
Need a second on that to allow Commissioner Edwards to do that.
I'll second it, Judge.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Presentation in regard to bank accounts, depository, and auditor access. I have a lot of paperwork that I could read. Sheriff, why don't you come up and tell us what you've gleaned from all this?
That way I'm not right on you, sir. All right. These are the kind of things that I really don't like to be involved in, because the problem is they tend to get mired in the politics of everything that's going on. But I wish to state that as your sheriff, I have an obligation and a duty when there's a problem to stand up and to tell you about it, because, you know, this is the county and we are holding other people's money, and things must be done correctly. So I'm going to tell you what I have discovered. I met with the outside counsel who's provided you with the documents that have been provided with regards to the holding of the money by the county clerk's office. I have met with the prosecutor. What we have come up with is there's been an ongoing and continuous criminal episode taking place as a result of these funds being held in a bank that is not the bank of record, and by not providing the information to the auditor as required by law. The auditor has to see all the funds every year. The auditor's office, as best I can tell, has not seen these funds. This is a criminal act. And as such, there are 4 ways that this can be remedied. Number 1, the county clerk can come into compliance with what you have ordered her to do, which is to remove that money from the bank it's in and place it in the bank of record. From what I understand, the money has been withdrawn from Prosperity. Have you received your paperwork on it? You have not. Have you? At the treasurer's office? You have not. Number 2, the county clerk can petition the court to make Prosperity a bank of record, just as Goliad National Bank is. And the money can remain there as long as the auditor, once again, receives the report. Because, like I said, it is a criminal offense not to give the paperwork to the auditor. Number 3, the court can have a meeting, specify that the county clerk come into compliance by a set date, and if the clerk does not, can be held in contempt of court and can be fined every day or can be forced to sit in jail until the compliance is done. Or number 4, I can take the case, put it together. There's more than one criminal offense involved here, and I can present it to the district attorney's office. To be frank, I don't want to be involved in it. I don't want you guys to have to deal with all that. All I want is compliance. We are a governing body who is responsible to the people that we serve. We must follow the law. But I will say this, every one of you, including I, we're going to make mistakes, and that's going to happen. But when you have a mistake, you correct it, well, that takes care of the problem as long as it's something that's minor, and usually in the local government code it is. But when it's no longer a mistake is when you're told that this is happening and you're told you're supposed to do something and you continue with the criminal activity that has been taking place. And that is what we have here. So I hope that y'all can resolve this because I don't want to be involved in it. But if I have to get involved, I will. And everybody who knows me knows I will take a stand for what is right. And I don't care about the parties. You can ask Mr. Clapsaddle. If he calls me, I help him anytime. I've always showed up. I don't care what party you are. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And my track record will show you I'm going to stand up for what's right regardless of who's involved. And so this is what I wish to tell you this evening because it needs to be fixed. Thank you.
So when this came up, we were told that this was district court money. I'm sure we're talking about this, the accounts that were left at the Prosperity.
I'm going to tell you this. I'm not going to get into a lot of details because this is a criminal act. The district court orders the county clerk to handle these monies in a proper way. It is the county clerk's responsibility to handle these monies in a legal and proper way. And it's the county clerk's responsibility under law to provide that to the auditor's office, provide every year. This has not been done. That is a criminal act on the part of the county clerk, not on the part of the district judge. The district judge is not the person who is in charge of that money.
So when we moved the money from from Prosperity to Goliad Bank, was that the treasurer's duty and the auditor's duty at that time to transfer that money? And
If they don't know about the
been
money,
5 years ago.
if they don't know about the money, how are they supposed to know to move it? That money is under the care, control, and custody of the county clerk's office. That is where the responsibility lies.
Okay. And then also probably 5 years ago, after this money we moved our accounts to Goliad Bank, the auditor at the time I spoke to him personally and said that there were still some accounts at Prosperity. So at that time, it was, people knew about it. I mean, the accounting offices, but this is 5 years ago, probably.
Yeah, I wasn't here 5 years ago, so
Right.
I can't answer that, but I can tell you this. Y'all have provided the county clerk with a unanimous vote to move that money. It had not been moved
If it was
as of
county-
today.
County money, but if it.
Any
was
money under the care, control, and custody of the county is considered county money, and we have a responsibility to take care of it regardless of where it comes from. But like I said, I don't want to go into too much detail. I just hope it gets resolved, because I don't want to be involved in resolving it, but if I have to, I will. And that's probably the last option you want exercised. So I'm leaving it up to y'all. Y'all can visit with the county clerk, and y'all can all take care of it. But it is an ongoing criminal episode, and it needs to end right now.
So, Mary Ellen, do you have anything you'd like to?
You want to come up and speak to us?
The accounts of Prosperity Bank were transferred on September 13th to Goliad National Bank.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that you withdrew the money out of,
Prosperity Bank to Goliad Bank.
why didn't you tell us? I mean, we're here discussing this right now. So it's been deposited into,
Yes, sir.
oh, why didn't you tell us?
I don't know.
You don't know. Are you aware of this, Mr. Wimberly?
I don't look at the accounts on a daily basis, so no, I'm not aware.
And they were interest-bearing account. It was an interest-bearing account for a minor, and 3 unknown heir accounts that were moved into the registry. And
I
the
also,
county treasurer, the other accounts, he says he had no idea of. He kept on restricting those bank account statements to be sent to me.
ma'am,
kept
you
on-
have never,
Wait
you
a
have
minute, wait a minute.
never
We're not going
asked.
to do, wait a minute. Wait a minute. We're not going to do this. We're going to talk one at a time.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, the accounts that we're speaking of, please correct me if I'm wrong, were being mailed to you, those statements.
The ones from Prosperity, yes, sir.
Isn't that what you're talking about right now? How can he deny you access when you're the only one getting the statement?
The ones at Goliad National Bank, those statements. That's why I handed those to the county, the outside auditor, because I said, here's the paperwork that corresponds with those accounts. But the ones at Goliad National Bank, he even, when he used to do reports to the court, he had them listed on there, but he had restricted. So it's not like he wasn't aware. He has control of all those accounts. And I'm not the only one he stopped from getting those accounts. He didn't let Mr. Edwards, kept on changing. Well, I'm just giving you the facts, sir.
Well, you're giving me your opinion, but
No.
go ahead.
Well,
No, I would
whatever.
think it's a
That's
fact.
okay, but
Okay,
May I say something?
go ahead.
So, if Ms. Flores would have asked for statements, I don't know what her job is, have no idea. I don't know she needs to reconcile those accounts. Outside auditor brought that to my attention. If she would have asked for the accounts, she would have got them. And
Okay.
also, I have a question for Mr. Wimberly. How does somebody open up money in the depository bank without the treasurer's signature? I'm the one that has it. Authority over all accounts held by the county. If these have been opened, we need to fix that the proper way in the banking statements.
Well, there wouldn't have been any account opened the improper way, so
So,
if they hadn't been done proper way,
So-
it would have been done.
so it's going to have our EIN number
no, sir.
and
Can you tell me how long it's been since these have been audited?
Whenever the county,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Okay, again, you're the only one getting the statements. Have you shared those statements
The
with
ones from Prosperity Bank?
Yes. Because I'll read you the statute. I don't want there to be any ambiguity here.
Whenever the county was audited, yes, sir. I mean,
Okay.
the paperwork is there.
This is
I handed that to the outside auditor.
Local Government Code 117-123. The registry funds, which these accounts fall into that category,
Correct.
shall be audited at the end of each county fiscal year by the county auditor or by an independent certified public accountant or firm of an independent certified public accountant of recognized integrity and ability selected by the Commissioners Court. A written report of the audit shall be delivered to the county judge, each county commissioner, and a clerk not later than the 180th day after the last day of the fiscal year. A copy of the audit shall be kept in the clerk's office and shall be open for inspection by any interested person during normal business hours. Has that transpired?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, so what you're telling the court today is that on September 13th, you decided to withdraw all the money out of Prosperity Bank and you deposited it into First National Bank of Goliad.
Yes, sir. I did a motion and an order to Judge Williams to order me to transfer the accounts. I presented it to him, and he said, if you want to leave them there, I don't have a problem with it. But I said, no, I'm going to go ahead and transfer to get everybody satisfied. So I transferred them on Monday. That was a Friday, so anyway, I did transfer them, and I told them you had done the order. So I transferred the money on the third. I believe they actually invested the money on the third. I can't remember what day I did it, but anyway, sometime around that window of the 13th or prior, those funds, there's no accounts at Prosperity Bank. They're all at First National Goliad.
I wish you would have told us, ma'am. We wouldn't be talking about this today.
Well, I know, same thing here. I mean, y'all could
Wait a minute,
talk to me.
what are you speaking of specifically?
I mean, Brian could come and say, well, why wouldn't he allow me to get the records? I mean, I went to the bank several times. They said, okay, it's going to come next month. Waited the month, nothing. Not until I told the auditor.
Can you produce an email or anything asking me for an account statements?
No, sir.
I know that.
Because the bank.
The bank does not issue anything to anyone except the treasurer. Your name is not on the signature cards on that. The only people that have signature cards on there is the treasurer and the auditor. It'd be like me going down and ask for Mr. Edwards' bank account information of his personal stuff, because it doesn't happen. They're not going to give it to you.
In the past?
That was in the past.
Okay, well,
That's the way things used to be done, and we're going to try to be compliant and obey the law.
Well, so do you, sir.
Okay, we asked you to move this account on July the 25th, and I haven't heard a peep from you.
July 25th?
Yes, that's the day that Commissioner's Court ordered you to move the stuff. And you didn't say a word to us.
I wasn't here that day, sir.
Okay, you didn't say a word to us, and we haven't heard a word from you since. And it would have eliminated a lot of this stuff if you'd have just told us that you moved it into a depository bank.
I did, yes, sir.
I mean, it's hogwash. That's all I got.
Well,
So we'll take no action. I would like to follow up and know how it is that she's allowed to open up accounts in a depository bank for money that's controlled by the county, even though it's a registry account. I don't know how that works.
I can answer that, sir.
I would like to see it because I've got the statutes
Because
here.
it's for a minor child, and they have a social security number that it goes under. Because it's not county money, it goes under their name, it's their account. That's how it's put into that account.
Okay. Well, the first thing on the list of the 8 different types of accounts that cover that is number 1, funds of minors or incapacitated persons is supposed to be in the bank, in the official bank of record, the depository bank that is approved by Commissioner's Court. So I'm still lacking a little understanding here. It's just, if you would have just told us, I'll be happy to move it on the 25th of July, 2 months ago, 2 months ago. And then you walk in here today and say, oh, I did that a month ago.
Well,
Really?
I'm in error for not telling the court, I'm sorry. And that probably doesn't satisfy the court, but that's what happened.
If I may, I would recommend to the court that, just as you did previously, I believe that in order to ensure everything is handled properly, and if there's no questions, that we have an audit conducted of these accounts, just to make sure that everything works out, and then it helps indemnify the county and make sure there's nothing in there. So that would be my recommendation, is to have a full audit of everything, because moving the money is one thing, but not telling the auditor is a criminal offense. You cannot do that. So if we could get an audit as a sheriff, I'd appreciate that.
I believe she said she turned it in to the outside auditor. Is that what you said?
I have not, because I haven't reconciling the accounts.
But originally, when we were doing the outside audit, you had said you had turned that,
No,
The law, excuse me, the law is not for outside auditor. The law says that she receives it, nobody else, only she.
gotcha.
And without that, it's a criminal offense. So we need to just get this resolved.
Well, I can provide the information to the county auditor.
Anyone else have anything?
I have a question. At this moment, are you the only one on the signature card on that $600,000+, or?
No, sir. Vicki Quinn.
Oh, you two, you and Vicki have it, not the auditor and the treasurer?
No.
Okay.
I've studied these statutes ad nauseum, and I will tell you that it is absolutely against the law not to allow the auditor to have complete view on any accounts that are controlled by the county, which includes your court registry funds, no matter what the situation is. The auditor gets to see. And this happened a month and 15 days ago, and you hadn't even told her. Okay. All right. Does anyone else have anything?
I think I'd like to hear from Mr. Clapsaddle. He did some extensive looking into this.
Look,
My
sit
choice.
down, sir.
No,
Sit
sir.
down.
I've been
He-
asked by.
I
He
am
is
a-
not in charge of this meeting. I am. Please sit.
No, I'm a court
It
member.
doesn't
and
matter
I can
what
ask
he says.
anybody to
Sit
speak.
down.
Oh, you're not a dictator. He's a commissioner. He
Please
asked
sit
me to
down,
speak.
sir.
I'm not sitting down.
I can ask
Mr.
somebody
Fudge.
to speak.
He doesn't want to sit down.
I can ask somebody to speak.
He's asked me
I
to
have
speak.
that right.
Please
On-
sit, sir. Mr. Bruins does not run this court.
I'm a part of this court.
You are a part of this court.
Yes, I am. It's called the
This is-
Constitution. You got it?
Okay. I had really tried to avoid doing what I'm about to do. The fact that you've looked into something does not impress me that much, sir. You've accused me of many things that you obviously didn't look into. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this, and maybe it'll clear up some things for you. First of all, I'm going to start by saying I contacted Judge Williams, and he said she absolutely needed to provide a view of this to the auditor's office. We talked to TAC. They said the same thing. I have an attorney. I have an attorney general's opinion that absolutely agrees with everything we've said in here. And
Judge,
wait just a second.
just tone it down a little bit. Don't have to be so-
This is beyond the pale. You say things all the time that are not true. So I have talked to 6 different entities, and every one of them says she's an error and she needs to fix it. And that's what we requested. Stop interrupting me. Stop interrupting me. Everyone that we have talked to has said that she's an error. And if she had to just move the accounts when we asked her to, all this conversation could have went away. But you wake up on the 13th of September and decide you'll do something and you don't tell the court, nor do you give the auditor a chance to look at the stuff. enough. We went as far as we can go with this, and we'll see what happens next. It's very disappointing that everything in this county has to go political. It's very disappointing. You're in error, just say, hey, I made a mistake. I'll move it tomorrow. It could have been that simple, but instead it has to turn into a production. And it's just not the way things are supposed to go. It's just not the way the things are supposed to go. So we'll take no action on this, other than I think I will make an emotion.
There's no action on the agenda item.
There is
It's a
no action. We'll
presentation.
put it on the agenda next time. You're correct, sir. Anyone else have anything they'd like to say?
The monies have been moved, according to what she was saying a while ago, just haven't been reported to the auditor. Is that correct?
Right now, she just needs to give access to the audit. That's correct.
So,
This whole thing is just a,
And I believe the auditor is supposed to be a signator on the accounts also.
that's what the statutes say. So we're not going to take any action on this. Item number 14, remove from the table adopt policy as set by local government code 130-908, approval of spending by certain county and precinct officers to require any expenditure by an incumbent county or precinct office who is not renominated or reelected that is over an amount set by the Commissioner's Court. Last time we met, we decided that we would write something down and talk about it again.
motion.
Mine said outgoing officials may not spend travel or training funds. All other purchases exceeding $500 must be pre-approved by the Commissioner's Court. And
I
this
think
is
we
for
need
the-
to vote
this is
on
for the-
removing
excuse
it
me,
from the
sir.
table, sir.
This is for the last,
We got to remove from the table. We got to vote on removing it from the table.
okay. Need a motion to remove this from the table.
So moved, Judge.
Need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. So, $500, needs, anything over $500 be pre-approved by Commissioner's Court, and the outgoing official may not spend travel or training funds because they're an outgoing official and they don't need training and travel funds. It's not fair to the next guy or lady that's coming in. It's just not fair. I experienced it personally. All mine was gone when I showed up.
Half of it was still there. I looked up the budget versus actual back in January or February of 2019, and yeah, half of that budget was there. Not all of it was
I
gone.
did not have any travel and training money.
I looked up the budget.
Okay. So, what is your input, Mr. Morales?
I had mentioned last meeting, or when we discussed it, last, 5,000 limit, anything over 5,000 on the, be pre-approved, over 5,000 be pre-approved by the Commissioner's Court.
So your number is 5,000. What about training and travel?
The way I look at it, you got other line items. If you need some more money in travel, just transfer the money, just like we always do.
So you think outgoing officials should be able to spend their money on training and travel?
It's their budget, Judge, or our budget. But a number is a number. I mean, you can throw any number out there you want.
Well, I'm unable to understand why a person that's got 3 months left in office needs training.
I see your point. I know what you're talking about. I get it. I get it. But, I mean, any number, be whatever number you want to throw out there.
Okay. Commissioner Edwards?
I agree with Alonzo. I think it's his budget, and, you know, he's been responsible. All of us are pretty responsible about how we spend our money. If the commissioner feels like there's a need, this is what we're talking about, then I'll say he should be able to spend it with our approval. and then whatever limit we set.
With the Commissioners Court approval?
Right, whatever limit we set. I don't know why we just want to, why don't we just leave it all at, anything over $5,000 has to be approved by commissioners and not pick on one
5,000?
thing.
5,000, you said?
That's what he said.
That's kind of low because there's going to be some stuff come up. I'd say probably like Alonzo, about 5,000, because there's going to be bills come up between now and then with things that he may need more than that to cover the bills.
Okay.
You're going to buy fuel.
Mr. Brumby?
All right, this is what I think the policy should read. An elected or precinct officer that has lost a primary or not running for that office can't spend more than 25% of any line. Human Resources writes the policy and disseminates it, and the auditor enforces it. This policy goes into effect October 1 of each election year. That's what I think it should be.
Mr. Bruns?
Read that again. Just that,
Any elected or precinct officer that has lost a primary or not running for that office that they're currently holding
yes, sir.
can't spend more than 25% of any line. Human Resource writes the policy and disseminates it to everybody, to the elected and precinct people, and the auditor enforces it. This policy goes into effect October 1 of each election year.
So 25% of that line.
Mr. Bruns?
Well, first of all, we tabled this, and there was a name left off of the agenda item last meeting, and when you table it, you bring the exact worded agenda item back to the next meeting, and so there again, I still don't see how we can vote on this, but 25% of the line item, yeah, I wouldn't see nothing wrong with that.
So y'all think that you should be able to spend 25% of the training for the new elected official?
Who are you after on this one, exactly? Who are you after on this agenda item?
It came from Mr. Allison, I think.
None of the departments have a very large training budget,
Right.
and basically you're only going to maybe get one really good training out of anybody's budget. So it doesn't matter what department we're talking about. If an outgoing person takes one training, that doesn't leave anything for the person that's taking over. And you say you could move it from a line item, but our budgets are so thin right now that there really isn't money. I mean, they don't really have any line items to transfer from into a travel line. It just doesn't make any sense to spend something that you really don't need and expect another guy to have to take money out of a different line item so that he can get the training that he needs. I don't think the judge is out to get anybody. It's just across the county. It just doesn't make any sense. There's just not enough money for a lot of training, so you take one training or he takes one training and he leaves, whoever replaces you is not going to have an opportunity to get the training they need.
Well, I took the incoming commissioner to my budget meeting, and we asked for more money because he was going to have to go to some training for newly elected officials. Right.
We're not just talking about the commissioners, this is countywide.
Right.
What is the normal amount in the budget for most of the elected officials for the, about $1,200, isn't it?
Off the top of my head, I don't know, maybe a couple $1,000, but that money includes the registration for the conferences, the hotel for the conferences, and the mileage to and from, and that pretty much sucks it dry. You know, you go one.
So let's say it's $2,500. $1,200 is what I think most of the budgets are for those conference and dues things. So what is 1/4 of $1,200? 300. Okay, that would leave how much? Okay. Well, they can pay for it out of their own pocket, or they can, whatever. But as the audit, and you as the auditor at this point, starting October 1, you would have to just make sure they didn't spend more than $300 of the $1,200 budget to go to training, which would still leave, if it's 1,200, it would leave 900 more bucks. So, which would allow the incoming person to probably make it.
So last year, we okayed a expenditure for a commissioner to go to a convention, and it wasn't a county commissioner convention, but it came out, I'm sure, out of their funds for conferences and classes, CEU hours. But anyway, I'm just saying that, yeah, it's, I might need an hour to, if you're after me, I might need an hour for the end of the year, so.
It won't make any difference, will it?
Well, I don't know. Do I have enough hours?
I can't answer that, but what difference does it make? You're not going to be there in January, are you?
Well, you got to comply with the state laws.
Okay.
I think Mr. Brummy had a motion.
No.
No, that wasn't a motion.
Does anyone have a motion they want to put forward?
I have a motion.
Okay.
I make a motion that we make a policy that any elected or precinct officer that loses the primary or not running for that office can't spend more than 25% of any line. Human Resource writes the policy and disseminates it, and the auditor enforces it. This policy goes into effect October 1st of each election year.
Can I get a second on that?
Kirby, does this, if it goes over the 25% for any reason, it can be pre-approved by the commissioners to, in case, with the price of fuel. If he's out of fuel and he's got to order fuel, it's going to cost him
Any elected official or precinct officer that's not running for that office or has already lost that office, he can go on his own dime. I mean, why would he want to use county money? And he shouldn't be able to transfer money into that line either. But, I mean, that's a second issue that we might need to talk about. But, no, I don't think the commissioners need to be able to approve. Commissioners Court does not need to approve it. I think the policy needs to be pretty clear. Don't give any ifs, ands, or buts, because if you start putting ifs, ands, and buts about it, then what's the use of the policy? That's my opinion.
Because correct me if I'm wrong here, Judge, but it has to be approved every year for the elected officials that are not going to be re-elected to their respective offices.
This
So
is an intermittent thing, isn't
yes,
it?
yes.
It's just to protect the incoming office holder.
I'm just talking to Commissioner Brumby because he wants to make it a policy. This has to be voted on annually.
No, doesn't the statute say that for this to take effect, we have to have a policy? And you don't have to vote on policies every year. The statute says there must be for this to occur, the Commissioners Court's got to come up with a policy. And we don't vote on policies every year. This policy would be in effect, period, until the Commissioners Court wanted to then change it to something else. So no, we would not have to vote on it again unless we wanted to change it. If I'm not mistaken, I tried to read that statute, and that's what I got. That's what I gleaned from it.
Where'd you get that?
From the statute.
Right, okay. This, like for the state or TAC
Yeah,
or?
that's what the state has said,
Okay.
because apparently statewide there have been some outgoing elected officials or precinct workers who have overspent and left the incoming person without as much money as they should have.
Right.
We're talking about from October, in our county, October 1, October, November, December. That's 3 months. That's 25% they have the right, because it is their budget, they have the right to spend up to 25% of that line item, in my opinion. And if they want to go to a training and it's $1,200, you got budgeted $1,200 and they want to go and they only going to get $300, they can stay at the hotel and then come home, because that's the hotel's going to cost $300.
Does anyone want to offer a second for Commissioner Brumby?
I'll second it.
You second it?
He did on that end.
Going, I probably shouldn't second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Alanish, you had a public announcement?
Before the meeting, I handed out some flyers on an upcoming meeting we're going to have concerning the Presidio and the THC, Texas Historical Commission. Now, in the last 4 years, there have been 4 significant events in the history between the Presidio and Goliad. The first was when Jose de Escandon moved the Presidio from Lower Mission Valley to its present location in Goliad in 1749. His vision was to have a line of forts from California to Texas, protecting Mexico and its gold and silver mines from intrusion from the north. The second occurred when the city of Goliad sold the ruins of the Presidio to the Diocese of Galveston. At the time, there was no Diocese of Victoria. It didn't come into being until 1982. And the people of La Bahia, which was the original name of Goliad, had no place to worship. Fortunately, there was a functional chapel which would be used to celebrate Mass at La Bahia. The third event occurred when Miss Kathleen O'Connor decided to restore the Presidio to its former pre-Texas Revolution glory. And the fourth event is pending when the THC decides to take over management of the Presidio from the Diocese of Victoria. Now, from my understanding, the contract is sitting on the Attorney General's desk right now, waiting for his signature, and we hope it's going to take place before the end of the year. Now, this makes sense because the core business of the diocese is saving souls, whereas the core business of the THC is managing historical sites and structures. The THC plans to spend money to upgrade the Presidio and hire additional personnel at no extra cost to the citizens of Goliad. Capitalizing on these improvements should bring additional revenue to the city of Goliad and the county by making Goliad history a historical destination rather than just a chance encounter that catches someone's eye. I think the reenactment of the Battle of Coletta Creek draws about 4,000 to 5,000 people every year. I think Scott McMahon, if you ask him, could probably tell you exactly what he's been drawing. I feel that the county and the city must work together to find ways to capitalize on these improvements to the Presidio to draw more visitors to Goliad. I think Goliad needs more events like this, the reenactment, to bring more revenue to the city and the county. Now, the flyer that I handed out, and I added this later, I can't read my writing.
Amen.
But the flyer, there will be a discussion between the 3 entities, which is the Diocese of Victoria, the THC, and Scott McMahon, the present manager of the Presidio. And there will be a question and answer afterwards. I think it behooves everybody to try to attend the meeting to understand exactly what's going to happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Wembley, I didn't give you the opportunity to speak. I need to, if I cut you off, do you have something you wanted to say?
The only comment I would make as a representative
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That's all the announcements, I believe. Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Judge.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.